right, welcome in. New episode of the Captain and Madden Show here on another fun-filled Friday. This one is the 19th of June, Captain? Captain Mike Madden on my side, Captain on his side. 19th?
Yes, but when people are listening to us, it will be June 19th.
That's true.
Or Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth to those who celebrate. We're making a little bit early because we have Juneteenth plans, parades and whatnot. But yes, we're making a early recording of the Captain and Madden Show just for everybody here to enjoy. So, before we get into the heart of our episode, let's recap a little bit. Let's do a brief recap of basically what we'll call the first week of World Cup action. I'm seeing a lot of balls hit the post, which delights me to no end. Some good action, some really surprising ties or draws, as they would say. Captain, how are you feeling about the cup, Couple del Mundo so far?
It's been an entertaining tournament. I know near and dear to your heart the crossbar / post count. I would imagine it's pretty high for the first week.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would think you would say it almost exceeded your expectations.
I still want a day where a ball hits a post in each game, and I have not gotten that yet. So,
the U.S. looked pretty good in their first game.
Yeah. Yes,
I was not that surprised as much as everybody else was. But the Scots really do love America, don't they?
Nobody's having a better beginning to their tournament, other than maybe the Norway fans. Yeah. But the Scottish fans, the Tartan Army they're stars. They're getting all sorts of attention.
And this is one of the things, oddly enough, in our 3-hour marathon of a podcast about, we went very heavy with like players and teams and who we thought were going to win. We did have little things that we mentioned.
Yeah, of course.
Tidbits and stuff. But I think that like the thing that I come away from it, if like your first week reaction or your first week, whatever, is that it really does embrace like what the world game is. Mm-hmm. Like, where some people would look at it and go, why is everybody happy with a 1-1 tie or a 0-0 draw? And it's just like, for a country like that has whatever, like sometimes, Curacao, they don't care that they lost 7-1 to Germany or 6-1, whatever the final score was. They're just so happy that their team is in the World Cup. Like,
oh yeah,
the Scots, they know they don't have a chance like to win this, but they beat a pretty beatable Haitian team. They won 1-0.
Right. Yeah.
They're celebrate, like that's the whole point in a way of like the World Cup is to celebrate your country, the sport. And I love seeing like was that Algeria? We're playing in Kansas City. The local high school there learned the high school band learned the Algerian national anthem and came and played it for them at training. You've seen the Scots at the Red Sox game and just like making a Red Sox game enjoyable, which is pretty hard to do nowadays.
That's right. Yeah.
Like that's what it should like. To me, that's the fun part of soccer is that sometimes it does get marred with like, there are some times where fans clash with each other, and I hope that does not happen here at all in the next 6 weeks, 5, whatever amount of weeks. But it should be about going there, celebrating, having a good time. Hey, let's figure out how do the Scots come here, drink Boston Dry. They're there are little bars that are out of stock on alcohol and beer. Yeah. Yet you have not heard anything about any fights, any violence,
they're not throwing chairs through windows. They're cleaning up after themselves in parks where they're watching, doing
there
gatherings and.
Meanwhile, I'm very happy for Knicks fans that they won. It's been 53 years or whatever, but it's been like their watch parties have had violence.
Yeah.
They celebrated. They burned buses. That apparently
was disgusting.
There was a shooting in Times Square, and tomorrow's the parade. You can only imagine what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, why can't we take a page from like what we're seeing and just like, let's just celebrate. Let's have fun.
Get on the
let's have a good time.
Everybody get on the same page. Just chant, just celebrate, like peacefully, not quietly. You can scream as much as you want in the streets and throw confetti and have a ball like that. But yeah, it was disappointing to see the images. I understand that's the way it is, like with these cities, especially these large cities that win. But I really wish like America cut it out with this stuff. Like, you don't have to destroy your city. You don't have to climb on and smash cop cars and taxi cabs and and that's my one problem with all of this is there seems to be like, yes, there's arrests and people get locked up, but it's like a drunk tank. They're released the next morning and they really don't suffer any consequences. But the other thing is, like, everybody that you see, like, that's getting into these fights, there's phones out. All they're doing is videoing themselves acting foolish and getting likes on TikTok and all this other stuff. Just come to grips with, like, yeah, it's a big event that your team won a world championship and the first one in 53 years. Celebrate with your family members that are Knicks fans and your friends that are Knicks fans. And, you don't have to throw bricks. You don't have to, like, destroy, but do you go to a game and like rip up the seats? Like, act like you've been there before.
By the way, New York fans, if this is a representative of, since nobody likes to recognize the Brooklyn Nets as an actual New York team, so this is the one basketball team. So this
it's a unifier
run. Yeah, it's representing New York. Guess what? New York, you can't shit on Philadelphia anymore.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. No, you're setting yourself up for finger pointing at Boston and Philadelphia and all these other cities that have had these quasi rampages because they scored more baskets than somebody else. Like, get your act together. Tomorrow's a parade. Let's as you said. I'm happy for my friends that are long-suffering Knicks fans that really like supported and most of the people that I talked to were in tears on Saturday night and were like, I can't believe this actually happened. That's good for sports. That's good for fandom, and that shows that people are still dedicated. No matter how much like you want to say it was a bunch of people on the bandwagon. I'm throwing all of that out because I think there's elements of really goodwill and a lot of harmony that I saw come out of this just ignore what's on the news and any Knicks fan that you talk to is going to tell you about my grandfather was a Knicks fan, my father was a Knicks fan, this family member, my mother or my all of my sisters, whatever it was, like whatever little story that you can get, like that's what I loved sort of like hearing about this. And I think it's special because that 53-year gap is something that, you're talking about generations between championship wins. And and that's that.
So out of the first week of the World Cup, what has been your highlight? What has been your
back to the cup?
Back to the cup.
Being correct about the Japanese fans being just the most pleasant people in the world and cleaning up after themselves at that stadium that's a close second. But I think
with the assist of Jameis Winston.
Yes, yeah. Of all people, here comes Jameis Winston making his presence felt.
I heard the Japanese players were going to promise him crab legs.
Yeah, he's getting that crab. I think my highlight so far, I think Messi's hat trick has to be. say what you will about this being his last good run, and he's on his last legs, and he shouldn't really be starting some of the games, or should be a sub or whatever it is. That dude put on a show last night that is one for the ages. So all the respect for that, and I think that so far has been my highlight. How about you?
On the field, I'm going to be biased and say the 4-1 victory of the U.S. men's national team.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just because there was so much panic, there was so much, question this, who should be on the squad, who shouldn't be on the squad. The guys that came on there, I think the players were stepped up. They were ready. You could tell that they're taking, people were questioning whether or not, do they really have it in them? Do they care? Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. That first 45 minutes, that's 4 years of just salivating and waiting.
Yeah.
And
now we're showing you. Right.
My off the field highlight has to be Zlatan.
He's been great.
He's the best. And anytime he shits on Alexi Lalas,
it's great. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, it's tremendous. Lalas is sometimes you just lay out, Alexi. Yeah. Just lay out and let other people talk. But yeah, no, Zlatan has been a great addition, and Thierry Henry, he gets to look sideways at people.
The facial expressions are very mean. But do you remember? Number of years back, the joke that Ricky Gervais said, where he was like, our next presenters are 2-time Oscar, blah, 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 3-time Golden Globe, all this other shit. And he goes, and the other guy's Tim Allen.
Yeah.
I feel that way every time they go. It's like Henri, Zlatan. Oh, yeah. And the other guy.
And then here's this. And yeah.
Here's Tim Allen. Here's our Tim Allen.
Yeah.
Lalas had a beard back had a long hair and a crazy beard back in 1994.
Yes, he looked like walking spin doctors in 94, but now he's just sort of, he's trying to be like hot take guy, controversial guy.
He's like Boomer Esiason's younger brother now.
He kind of is. Yeah. Yeah. Just pipe down. So, with that out of the way, we're moving on to the task at hand, and that is to close our 4-episode series. Was it 3 episodes? 3-episode series on unpopular opinions. And this unpopular opinion will be in television. We did have 4 episodes because we did music, we did sports, we did movies, and now television. The Mount Rushmore of unpopular opinions. So let's get into it. Television.
TV. The boob tube. And we talk a lot, I apologize ahead of time. A lot of these points have probably come up in other episodes here and there. We're hoping that maybe we can explore them a little bit more, maybe have a little bit more specific insights. I apologize for coughing because allergies be damned. But why don't you start off with the first unpopular opinion for everybody, and let's see what we can start chewing on. Well, since we were talking about sports and sports announcers and people of that nature, here's 2 that I have off the back of maybe unpopular opinions. Joe Buck is a really good announcer. I enjoy his football, him and Troy Aikman on Monday Night Football. I still think his best is when he's doing baseball, which he has not done, I think, in a while. But I still thought, out of the 2 things that he did, primarily football and baseball, I thought baseball is his stronger point. But he's a really good announcer. Yeah, maybe you could sit there and say, Fox went a little crazy, trying to have him have his own talk show. But I don't get where all the Joe Buck hate comes from. It seems to be a lot. I don't know if he just gets lumped in because he works with Troy Aikman and everybody likes to shit on the Cowboys. and he just kind of gets the shrapnel. But there seems to be a lot of hate towards Joe Buck, and I don't get it. I think he's a tremendous announcer. And my other part of it that I'm going to tag onto that, and you can add yours in, Mike Tirico, who is now working for NBC. You might enjoy him on Sunday Night Football and for the Olympics.
Yes.
And for anything that, like NBC, I think he might have been part of the Kentucky Derby broadcast.
Sure was. Yeah.
He is the best thing to ever come out of ESPN.
Wow. I mean, that's a broad stroke. Let me tackle Buck.
So those
first.
are my sports. Those would be my sports announcers. Maybe popular or unpopular opinion. Those are my opinions.
The thing about Buck, and I think this is the one thing, I think it's more like local sports fans get annoyed because when he's calling an NFL game, and now it's a lot more segmented and it's easier to dismiss him now because he's only doing Monday Night Football. Right. For all those years when he was covering the prime spot 4:00 game for CBS. Fox. I'm sorry, for Fox. But the thing that they wanted you to like, so he doesn't have the passion. So he's not calling a long touchdown with like the hometown passion. It's sort of I've heard him be called robotic or just passionless or listen to this basic call. Same thing with baseball. Like he's calling a World Series and he doesn't want to like jump out of his seat and make it seem exciting. For baseball, I think a lot of the fans that were critical of him love their hometown guys calling it because their hometown guys are going to scream and yell and because they're the Yankees announcers or the Dodgers announcers or whoever it may be. And Buck kind of pissed people off because he didn't have that hometown like rah-rah way to go, guy. Like, that sort of like response. It was sort of like this, even though it's elevated, it's still kind of like a baseline home run call or a touchdown call. With it, but I think you're right. It doesn't help that he's with Troy Aikman, who people just seem to not like, despite the fact that he's another guy that does a very good job at what he does, calling the games and getting inside the plays. For baseball, he was there with Tim McCarver for such a long time. And it's like, and Tim McCarver was very folksy and very like, would slow down and tell you what the game was about. And Buck just seemed to be sort of on a mission to just call the plays out and go. So I think that's where the criticism came in. But I think I agree with you that he gets unfairly chastised and lambasted because he's not their guy. And he's not supposed to be their guy. He's supposed to be, this is the way that like announcers called it in his father's day and in the 30s and 40s when you would hear them on the radio or primitive TV. So, it's almost like, hey, guys, get used to this. Like, this was the way that they used to call the game. It wasn't, screaming and yelling and throwing babies in the air. Tirico is a gem. Tirico, he never misses. He's great calling football. He's great calling Olympic sports, golf. I think he's got a very unique presentation and I think I compare him more to like the Bob Costas style. Just a really good and well-rounded host. Right. Is he the best thing that came out of ESPN? I mean, there's a lot. Remember, Craig Kilborn came out of ESPN. So
wow. Star of old school.
Right, yeah.
Craig Kilborn.
I mean, you may have a point. Like, historically speaking, I think, like, for somebody who's as talented as Tirico is, and who, I mean, he was at ESPN, like, 15 years ago. So it's not really a long time since he's been away from it. So, like, I don't know if you've even seen the best of Mike Tirico yet. So he certainly has the chops to become a guy that you're going to read about in historical books and say, when you needed somebody to cover a big event, a big sporting event, Mike Tirico should be one of one. So jury's still out, but it's a good stance to make. It certainly will, you'll get people that'll say Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann, Berman, probably even like a Stuart Scott, Apostle, whatever it may be. It's kind of overarching, the amount of people that were at ESPN that went on to bigger things. But there's a good argument that Tirico may, in the long run, be the best one. And if that's starting now, hey, you're the pioneer of that thought. That's two good ones to start off with. I'm going to start off with one. I don't know if this should sound negative, but I think there's too many movie stars on television.
You want to go back to the days where you can be a TV star or you could be a movie star, but you can't be both?
Or you had to earn your way into movie stardom, right? You had to, your show had to be such a phenomenon, or you had to be a young actor where it's like, I want to see more of this. Take Michael J. Fox, for example. TV guy, got so big with Family Ties, then he's getting cast in movies, and he becomes a movie star, and then eventually gets back to TV. John Ritter was always a television star. John Ritter is one of the greatest sitcom actors of all time. When John Ritter was doing movies, it wasn't box office. But nowadays, it's like it seems like, and it's mostly because I think there's less to do in Hollywood, and I don't think that I don't think there's a Hollywood star necessarily that's strictly a movie person. I think all of them kind of go back and forth. Hey, I've got a series, because there's more prestige television. So somebody like, there's a ton of them that are always going back and forth, doing a TV project, doing a movie project. Let's take Zendaya for example. We like to talk about her. Is she more of a movie star than a TV star? I think at that point, it's blurring the lines, right? And I just wish that there was situations where you could say, hey, they've really developed their career enough by working on 2 or 3 different TV shows before they get that hit movie, or before they're cast in a voiceover film or a Marvel movie or whatever it is, where you just, it's just muddy. You don't get that separation like you used to. So it might be a hot take, but it's something that I really feel that there used to be tiers to fame. And I
think now, we've kind of talked about, I think nowadays there's, it was a rarity for somebody like Prince, who was at the top of his game in music and then decides to do a movie.
Right. Yeah.
And then, of course, there was the soundtrack to the movie. So it was like, okay, Madonna tried to do the same thing for a little bit in the 80s. It was almost like, all right, well, back then it was almost kind of like, well, how do we squeeze as much out of this as possible? Now it's just a thing. It's a brand. It's just,
yeah.
It's not it's actually kind of surprising when somebody is just an actor or just a musician and doesn't branch into other things, or, hey, this person is just an actress. She doesn't sing and she doesn't have her own clothing line. All she does is, she's in this movie, she's on this streaming show, she's on that, it seems like now everybody's got to have a brand, even weird to say, okay, so you have your music, you have your acting. What else are you doing?
Yeah.
You got to have that third or fourth thing. So I think now, because, you take somebody like Kevin Costner, he does the show Yellowstone. it's probably filmed the same way in a weird way, but probably the same way like a movie set. He's on location somewhere. To him, he's doing a really extended version of Dances with Wolves.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like, that type of thing or whatever. Like, or the I would think a guy that's kind of done a pretty good job of doing both. Although I think the movie side of it has been very much as a supporting person. I don't not yeah, but like you take somebody like Jason Bateman, who went from why am I totally losing the name of the
Hogan
show?
Family.
No, the one with Will Arnett and all them.
Arrested Development.
He goes Arrested Development. Then he starts doing like movies like Horrible Bosses.
Mm-hmm.
He's in like
ensemble cast guy.
Yeah, he's always like the third friend or both. He did a couple, he had a couple. What was that, Identity Thief or whatever with him and Melissa McCarthy?
Yeah,
he had a couple where he was like billed with somebody, but then he goes and does Ozark. He does this DTF St. Louis thing that's interesting. He did that White Rabbit series, limited series, and I think he's got another one that either just came out or is on the way coming out. I saw that he's filming something for Netflix in Jersey.
Of course, yeah.
So it's like he seems to be somebody that kind of bounces back and forth and who's kind of revitalized himself in that way. But yeah, I mean, the whole, like, it's weird to think of like different people, like Harrison Ford is on a streaming show now.
Yeah,
like that seems a little weird to me.
Right. And even like Seth Rogen's of the world are back on television, and it's like, man, like I said, I kind of pine for the days when you could be just a TV star and like maybe you're doing a cameo in a movie, or maybe you're like like in an ensemble cast, and that's fine. But I think there's like, that's just sort of like kind of folding into movies these days and other media, but it's just one. I think
secretly you kind of wish that there was a modern day version of Battle of the Network Stars. And you can't really have that when people are on NBC,
they're on every network.
Netflix, they're on they're on everything. Like who are they going to play for? What team are they going to be on?
Well, I know the Food Network people are all going to be on the Food Network. God. Battle of the Food Network Stars. Don't get me started on the Food Network people. All right, give me another one from your side.
Boy, where do I want to go? There are too many news shows, and I'm not talking about like, cable news, whatever, where people just yell at each other about opinions. Like, you have the morning news, and then there's a 12 o'clock news, and then a news comes on at 4 o'clock, then at 5 o'clock, then at 6 o'clock.
You're saying there's too many newscasts.
Yes, okay. There's too many newscasts, which I think in a weird way kind of ties back to the maybe some of the feelings that you and I probably get from like this whole Nick run, is that, well, we have to fill all this time.
Yeah.
So we need to go and we need to send as many reporters, even whether they know anything about basketball or sports or whatever it is. Like, we need them to go all over New York and get everybody who's wearing a Knicks shirt or Knicks sweatshirt or a jersey opinion. And then you get people that are like, oh, I don't even have tickets. I just came in here to be part of the atmosphere. And it's just like, okay, you have not watched any basketball for whatever amount of time. You're just here because it's a big story, and you figure if you walked around Manhattan long enough in a Brunson jersey, somebody was going to throw a microphone in front of your face.
But they're doing that. Yeah, I think you're right. Like the coverage,
it's no different than like, okay, it snows.
Mm-hmm.
We need 12 hours of footage of it snowing. Like, we need how many stories we need to send that reporter to Central Park to see her videotape kids sledding and snowball. It's just, I guess it goes back to them cutting costs and not wanting to pay for productions of talk shows or, whatever it is that used to fill the air. But it's just like, if you come home and you throw on like Channel 4 or Channel 7 or something, and you're just sitting there, you just realize like, and like, if you're on, you're working from home or something, you're just kind of like, wait a minute, I've seen this story. Like, this is the sixth time, like how many times do they run this a day? Like,
we're spinning the same tales over and over again. And it's just it's the same reporter in the same shot at the same location, that they haven't cleared this accident or this, robbery or whatever event that's happening throughout a city or a borough or a town, whatever it is. Like, it's just, it kind of spams in. And I guess their idea is that if we have wall-to-wall coverage, then we're going to have people that are going to pay attention to us and keep us on longer because we have the wall-to-wall coverage. So yes, basically from 4:00 until prime time, you've got some version of Eyewitness News or ABC World News that's on there. I think the bigger problem is, I think the American television watcher, because it's easy to do. You leave the news on in the background and you scroll your phone.
Yeah.
And so they're saying to themselves, hey, we got all these ratings, but it's basically like, it's background noise. And people like background noise in their life. And then they look up, oh, the weather is coming up in this segment. Okay, great. The weather's coming up. I see what the weather is. I'm going to disagree with it and then go back to scrolling my phone. So,
by the way, if you come on the 4:00 news and say, breaking news, there's a water main break in Hoboken.
There's always a water main break in Hoboken.
You can't start off the 5:00 news with breaking news, because everyone already knows about it. You can't start off every half hour with breaking news. There's a water main. It's not breaking news.
That's how they hook you. That's how they hook you in, because they're thinking you're just turning on your television.
The first 15 minutes of not everything can be breaking news. There's a shooting. Like,
if they want you to pay attention for at least that first seg.
You've been reporting this since 8 a.m. this morning. It's not breaking news anymore.
I like that people are that still have like a connection to local news, and that still like to watch it for their information or for their world view or whatever it may be, because it's not CNN, Fox headline, whatever these opinion-based news programs are, and these sort of like spin cycle entities are. But I think you're right. Like, I think you can basically say like, well, we're gonna have a 5:00 news, a 6:00 news, and then the goddamn 10:00 news, and then we're done. We're done with news for the day.
And to put on more programs. To tie into that, something else that I had on here that kind of ties, because you have so much news and you're trying to fill it up. Bullshit news like Access Hollywood and TMZ and all that stuff, like paparazzi, now becomes part of those newscasts.
Yeah.
Because we have to fill. There's only so much you can report on actual what used to be news. So now, like, the coverage of the Met Gala is from 5:00 all the way up, and then it'll be on the 11 o'clock. So if you're going to do that, then you're making shows like, Access Hollywood and all the like TMZ. You're making all that stuff really they're irrelevant. Like, why am I going to tune into those shows if I'm getting that from maybe we're just fortunate because we're in New York and they cover that. Maybe somebody,
other parts of the country, they don't care about it. Yeah.
Maybe the person in Oklahoma really needs TMZ because they don't get the coverage that we get in New York. But I just think now that all that stuff is thrown in, I'm sure whenever it is in the next coming days, I'm sure it will be announced. But like, whenever Taylor Swift decides to announce when and where she's getting married, that will be the lead in on the 5:00 news, the 11 o'clock news. Like, so why do I need to turn into Mario Lopez and watch them talk about I just heard about it.
Exactly. Like it's sort of like it moots that entertainment news bubble and it deflates it. And that's unfortunately that actually brings me to a good point. My next unpopular opinion. Those cable networks like E or Comedy Central or, you know, whoever it may be, TBS, they got so wrapped up sometime in the last 10 to 15 years, it got drilled into a programmer's head, less shows, more binging, and more marathons. So you have an Office marathon on like 3 fucking channels every night of the week. Or you have the Big Bang Theory or a CSI or Friends, whatever it is. And you're showing basically like all day, like you could get like 10 or 12 episodes of these shows all in one day. Reruns were always a thing, but reruns were carefully dotted so that they didn't run into each other, and it wasn't, you know, 5 episodes in a row or 12 episodes in a row. It's a marathon. So these cable networks, they buy up the rights to popular shows and then they just inundate you with it. And it's like, it's really ruined my enjoyment of like an Office. The Office at one point was one of my favorite sitcoms on television. I've seen so many freaking reruns of The Office at all sorts of times. You could have like today's marathon was season 3, and then in 2 days they're in season 7, and it's like it ruins the continuity, it ruins the enjoyment, it limits the quality, and it really like it kind of makes you a zombie to it. And basically, as I had mentioned, same thing about the news. This stuff just becomes background noise. So how can you really enjoy the shows that are pushed on cable as these marathon shows? Comedy Central's the worst at it because they have that for South Park. They have that for The Office, for a couple other things. And they could be producing their own TV shows. And they don't. And they used to have some of the greatest, like, you know, even if they were throwaway 2-season sitcoms, they had some great sitcoms that they've almost completely abandoned to just use the model of, well, people like The Office, so we're going to run a 12-episode marathon of The Office or Parks and Rec or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, whatever. We're going to run this like 4 days a week, and we're going to time out our schedule instead of letting the people who used to create those shows get creative and write something. And I just think it really, that ruined cable television in the last decade or decade and a half, in my opinion.
And you know what that style has ruined for me? Seinfeld.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I thought I always kind of in my mind was like, oh, you know, Seinfeld was a pretty intelligent, like there were obviously, you know, episodes that if you were wherever you were, if you knew like, oh, this is the one with the contest, or this is like, you're going to stop and you're going to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I because they don't do it as much, but like I would say maybe 5 years ago or a little bit, like they were one of the first, like TNT or TBS ran the shit like
into the ground
all day long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it got to the point where I was just like, I'm fucking tired of Seinfeld.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even to the point where like, if I was, you know, if I'm flipping through something or whatever, and I see him as a guest, I'm like, I just don't want to I don't want to listen to Seinfeld anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of in a weird, like I never watched it live, but I found myself early on when it kind of went into syndication, I was like, you know, Everybody Loves Raymond's kind of funny. And I kind of thought like for a sitcom, as a sitcom, like I kind of missed out. Like I probably should have. Now, like I get like angry when I'm flipping when I'm going down the guide and I see that like IFC has Everybody Loves Raymond on for like the next 7 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on. They're like, there's other shit that you could be putting on IFC. Like there's movies or something. I don't want to watch like 8 hours. Like I could tell you now from working, like now that I get to work from home one day a week, if I leave TBS on from 12 to 4, it's Friends. Starting at 4 o'clock, after 4 o'clock, it goes to Big Bang Theory, and then it goes right into 8 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah. And at 8 o'clock, it's probably
that's if like sports or basketball. Like, if there's nothing on, Big Bang Theory
keeps going like 10, all night. 10 or it's like, o'clock. Let's run 5 hours of Impractical Joker reruns. Unfortunately, it's lazy, but it's also we took stuff that that market share showed that people liked, and we just were force feeding it down everybody's throat, morning, noon, and night. And I think that's terrible. I think that's a shame, and it limits the creativity.
But that was always a good thing. Like you think about, like, okay, you would come home from school, you would go outside. And then on school night, I'm sure just like you were at, like, you had to come in at a certain time.
Yeah, right.
So, like, Different Strokes was on at 5 o'clock.
Yep.
And then Facts of Life was at 5:30.
Yes.
And then something else was on at 6. They never ran Facts of Life from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 8. You know what I mean? Like,
so you had variety of syndicated shows.
Even though there were times that you would come home and you would put on the Different Strokes or whatever it was, and you're like, oh, I've seen this one before. I've seen this one 5 months ago, not last week.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it was on for 12 hours in the day, and they run it 12 hours every day. And now I'm seeing the Gordon Jump episode, and I'm probably annoyed by it.
Yeah, right. That's the decaying, and that's the sort of rot of cable television and parking shows. That were popular sitcoms at one point, or even like, like I mentioned, CSI gets run to death, and like, some of these other procedurals like Chicago Hope and the other one where they're Chicago cops, and it's like, just buy the rights to more stuff. All of these are entities that are owned by, like, that have streaming networks. Like, fish another show out of there and see if like you can attract an audience by framing out a real schedule and not just 11 hours of something. What do you got next?
I'm going to go. So I have some thoughts on the Saturday Night Live original cast.
Okay.
That have kind of built up over years. And I recently watched that I'm Chevy Chase and You're Not.
Oh, yes.
Yes. It was like they interviewed him / whatever. They show clips and everything. So going back to like when people like Comedy Central, I think when it first started, used to show the original, like, old episodes of Saturday Night Live, but I don't think they were allowed to show the musical guests.
Right.
So it would be like an hour so they took out the musical guests and some other things or whatever, and they showed like an hour of the hour and a half episode. And it kind of gets drilled into your head that the original cast, the not ready for prime time, I would say 75 to 80, was like, everyone always compares every time they change the cast over, whatever it is, that's what they get compared to. And there are people in this mindset that it's never been as funny as it was those first so many years. Like, they'll say the Dana Carvey era and Phil Hartman era were okay, but it wasn't like what whoever the new cast did, like, oh, Will Ferrell's funny, but he's nothing compared to what Belushi was and all that stuff. If you actually sat down and watched an episode of like just a random, not like the best of Chevy Chase or the best of Bill Murray, just a regular episode, you'll realize that like in an hour and a half, there was maybe one or two funny there's one or two funny bits. Most of them were recurring characters. And then you had the weekend update, which has probably been the consistent from beginning to end. The weekend update has always been the funniest thing on the show. Okay. There's a lot of duds. There were a lot of things that were just not funny and went over like and I will say this about, and one of the things, Chevy Chase was missed. I think it's a big mistake that he left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can kind of tell, like, if you watch stuff from the first season, and it was kind of pointed out in the documentary, and when your mind kind of goes to it, that like he was a writer on there, and there were always moments for like the different cast members to kind of shine. And then after kind of Chevy left, it was, I think that kind of began well, if you're not writing shit, you're not getting on the like,
yeah, you gotta,
or the writers are going to start writing for whoever, like
whoever's hot.
And that's why, like, that's why the samurai guy was on every damn week, or like why this one was like, and Bill Murray doing the lounge singer was like, like that became the real big thing of like, well, we got to bring this back where I want to like, or no, I want to write for this. Like I have an idea using this like cheeseburger episode or blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that the original cast was not funny. They were. And it's highlight or more emphasized because Aykroyd went on to have a great film career. Mm-hmm. Chase went on to have a great film career. Bill Murray went on to be like, so of course everyone's going to be like, oh, I love Fletch, or I love Meatballs, or I love Stripes, or whatever. And they're always going to look at SNL as like, oh, well, if you think that stuff is funny, this is the funniest stuff. It's kind of sometimes I feel like you're kind of getting that now with people looking back, because now Eugene Levy's had this resurgence in the past 15, 20 years. Mm-hmm. Martin Short has had this, like, now everyone's like, oh, well, you think those guys you should watch SCTV because SCTV is the funniest thing. And it's just like, then why hasn't it ever been on for like, no, if it's the funniest thing, why doesn't anybody really show SCTV all that much? You know what I mean? Like, so I think that original cast sometimes because of because they're the original, they're the ones that broke ground, and 50 some odd years later, the show is still on. And I think because of their individual success at following the show.
Yeah. Yeah. They get the love from that.
Just like if you watch an episode now, the cold opening's funny. The first couple of skits are funny. Obviously the weekend update is really funny. And then when you kind of come back, that like last half hour, kind of, you're just like, this kind of there. I think it was always kind of like that. And especially if you watched an older episode, you'll realize like there's some weird, like there's some duds, and then there's some weird shit where like they did like little like avant-garde pieces and stuff that were like, whoa.
I was just going to bring that up. Like I think there was an experimentalness, especially in the first two seasons, where they wanted to collaborate with short filmmakers, not short in height, but short in runtime. Michael O'Donoghue bits that would be sort of these, like kind of, what's the word for it? It's experimental comedy more than anything. It's sort of like reactionary, short skits or sketches, whatever it may be. Albert Brooks with his movies on there. I think here's the two things that I'll kind of defend the original cast. There was no template for what this was going to be. So yeah, there could be like in hindsight, definitely like you're looking back at it, and there are some people that look back with rose-colored glasses and be like, hey, they all went to huge success, so they had to be doing something right. But I also think like if you're looking at it in the rearview mirror, or you're just going back to study the significance of it, you got to remember like comedy tastes have changed over that 50 years. So what would probably be like a very juvenile and basic premise that they were just happy to get it probably on network television. And nowadays it's been lapped by so much better versions of that joke or versions of that skit or whatever it is. So you kind of have to give them a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. But it was also like, again, there's counterculture stuff in there that was coming up in the small comedy clubs and the colleges, like entities like National Lampoon and Mad Magazine. Like that's very sophomoric humor, and that's more or less like that was the template for what they wanted to do on SNL. Whether that holds up 50 years later or doesn't, that's all debatable. Where I will agree with you is that there is a certain there's a pedestal that they're put on. And the problem is like and a lot of that discourse was coming when they did the 50th anniversary, where people are writing these pieces and they're like, well, and we even did it here, rank your favorite Saturday Night Live people. And it's like, if you don't have the core group, or at least like a good amount of the core group, you're missing the point of all this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, fucking thing's been on for 50 years. I'm allowed to like whatever configuration that I like out of those people that have been featured on that show. So lay off when it comes to that stuff and just recognize that some of that writing was very odd, probably on purpose, but when they toned the show up over the years, you could see like, all right, well, some of that stuff from the first season, second season, whatever it is, like that probably wouldn't make it today. For one, I like Michael O'Donoghue's stuff. I always thought, like even like watching that, like when I was younger, I was like, this is so weird that I think it's like hilarious and it doesn't make any sense. But to me, it's non sequitur funny or it's absurdist funny. So I'll give it its due. And speaking of a Saturday Night Live type of format, they still run about 22 episodes a year, give or take.
Yeah,
I mean their full season is it runs longer than it runs as long as a season used to be. So over the course of the 8 months that they're on during the year, they get to somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 plus episodes. Television series used to be 20 plus episodes. And the reason why they did that was because they wanted to get in syndication so that ding ding, they could show up on television during the course of a weekday. Now the format's completely tilted and they're doing these micro seasons where it might be 12 episodes, it might be 8 episodes, 7 in certain circumstances. And it seems to be shrinking and shrinking. And other than maybe your handful of like real network produced comedies or procedural shows, whatever it may be, like an Abbott Elementary still gets close to 20 episodes or 22 episodes if that's the case. Like probably a Hawaii Five-0 still gets like 18 episodes or 20 episodes. But for the most part, like series are getting shrunk further and further down, even if it's a quality show. Like a quality show, in my opinion, High Potential. It's on ABC. Caitlin Olsen. It's a quirky show.
Shut up, bird.
It's original. It's still a cop show, so we're still investigating crimes. That is right now like it's coming back in like 2027 as like a half season. So they're only going to do like 8 episodes. And it's like, well, that's kind of a ripoff. Like you've got a hot show. You just write more. You don't want to dumb episodes down. I get it. You want to get the most quality that you can. But I don't subscribe to the theory of less is more when it comes to this stuff. And like, oh, save it for the next season. And then you have like 28 seasons of some of these shows. And it's like, well, you only produced 8 episodes. Like, stop patting yourself on the back. Do 22 episodes each year, and we'll decide if you're worthy of going to another season after that. So I think that, unfortunately, the long series, the long season of a series is pretty much dead.
One of I guess a guilty pleasure, something I would probably get mocked for, but I'll say it. One of the things that my wife and I have very different. My wife is my wife. Mm-hmm. Have different viewing habits or things that we enjoy. Like I can watch an Ozark. She doesn't like to watch those type of shows or whatever. She likes, game shows and reality stuff or whatever, which I sometimes I don't need to sing any. I don't need to see any more singing competition shows.
Oh, no.
I'm done with them.
Thank you.
But the one thing that we find some sort of common ground and watch are the Chicago series on Wednesday nights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you'll start seeing ads in the summer, like September or whatever. They'll start showing new episodes, and you'll get like 4 or 5 into it, and then it's just like, well, NBC has some sort of programming thing that's happening. So the next, so you'll get 4 weeks in a row. Mm. Then there's like 3 weeks where you don't see anything. Then they come back with like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Then they break for Christmas. Then there's like, they come back, they show a couple of episodes. Then it was like this year we had Olympic coverage, so we didn't have anything and then it was like they came back with like 3 or 4 episodes, and then it was just like, all right, well, it's May, like we're gonna have the season finale. It's like, season finale? We only got like 10 episodes into it.
I know. Yeah.
So I think a lot of I don't know if you get it as much on CBS because they don't, but like NBC and ABC, because they're so devoted, they have so much money invested in all these sports.
Yeah.
That well, we got to have whatever finished over by the time the NBA playoffs begin. Mm-hmm. Or, for NBC, if they have Olympic coverage, or they don't put anything on Sunday nights because they got Sunday night football. So maybe they'll run something in the summer, but it's going to be, that I feel like sometimes that kind of kills it too, is that, there's so much money invested in other things other than just TV that like a show's production. You don't get like back in my day, like, and right after Labor Day, you would probably get like the first season show of the series.
Oh yeah. It would start in September,
and then maybe like around, there would be a Christmas episode, like a week or two before Christmas. They would show reruns till after, and then they would come back after the New Year, and it would go from the New Year till May, like sweeps week.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that was it. It was over. Like there's so much breakup. Then we're coming back for a special, summer, limited, because they
have to run off these episodes because you lost it to. I think you're right. Like the reliance on sports coverage is it's an easy moneymaker. It's a no-brainer moneymaker for all of these networks that cover some element of live sports, but the victim of that is the long season of your favorite television show. And then, of course, anybody the argument is, well, it's always on demand, so you can watch it any time. And if there's a game on and I don't want to watch the game, like I can catch up on episodes. And then we go back to our original argument, which is we're binging too much because we've been told that you could just go back and watch it whenever you want. Like, give me the days where you had to set a VCR tape if you weren't home to watch a show, or you had to just commit to being on the couch at the time that thing was starting.
Or think about this. There are certain, I think HBO does this, and the Disney streaming did this for a while. I think they still do it, where they'll only there's a new season of The Pit coming out.
Yeah.
They release one episode every week. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, oh, this is bullshit. Like, I got to wait to, I just want to binge watch the whole season.
I know.
Just like,
yeah. I'm not watching it until I can binge watch it. Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna wait because I want to watch like 4 or 5 episodes all in a row. Like like I don't think people's pension spans like can't even fathom like having to wait. Oh, I hate when they leave it on a hanger. Like I gotta wait till next Thursday for the next episode to drop. It's like, yeah, that's how it used to be.
That's TV.
People would lose their mind if like the Dallas season finale, if they had to wait for the whole summer to find out
for a whole summer in cliffhanger. Oh yeah,
holy shit.
Hang yourself. Give me another one from your side of things.
Well, I'm gonna go a little rapid fire here because I do have
okay.
I made my top 10 favorite TV shows.
Oh, okay.
Of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go through, just bang some things out, and you can chuckle along, or you could huff and roll your eyes at it.
Okay.
How bad of looking women were in the Wisconsin/Milwaukee or Milwaukee, Wisconsin area that Laverne and Shirley always had dates every episode?
It's a great question. That's a great question. But also look at who they were dating. Lenny and Squiggy.
Well, no, they didn't. They never dated Lenny and Squiggy.
Well, Lenny and Squiggy wanted to date them. They're very horny for them.
There must have been some rough women if they were a catch.
Yeah, 1950s Milwaukee. Bow wow.
It filmed in 1970.
Right. Yeah.
The fake docuseries comedies are over.
Yeah. Okay.
But someone needs to let NBC and ABC know this.
They can't get it. That's the trope, right?
It's just lazy Oh, well, let's do the side interview. Like, okay, I get it. Yeah. We've done that. Office was funny. Parks and Recreation was funny. Modern Family. All right, cool. We're gonna do this
in different settings. Yeah.
It's like, all right, now NBC has a hospital show that does it.
I know. Yeah.
A car salesman show that they do it. Yeah. I think Abbott Elementary is filmed that way.
Which I like. Yeah, I like Abbott Elementary, but you're right.
I touched on this a little bit when we did our Anthony Soprano. I think The Sopranos was a little bit overrated.
I'm going to argue that to the hilt because I think that's one of the greatest television shows in the history of the medium. But I know
late. Mm-hmm. Go on.
No, I know that there's some fatigue when it comes to the Sopranos. So I could see where it could get labeled with that overrated tag.
I just think it was always written with the idea of, I don't know if we're going to come back with another season. That was always my feeling. Sure. It was like, that's why like the Ralphie character had to get killed. Like everybody had to get killed or go away because it was like, well, I don't know if we're going to come back for another season. So we don't want to actually try to develop a character because I don't know if we're coming back. And we got to make sure
in that season.
Yeah. Late Night is dead.
That's not an opinion. That's fact, Jack. That's a cold hard wake up to reality that medium has been buried for the better part of 10 years. Thanks, Jay Leno.
Thank you, Jimmy Fallon. Zach Morris is trash. So was Saved by the Bell. The TGIF TV series Nostalgia, I don't get it.
Everybody who loves like Boy Meets World and
now we got to make Winslow commercial, like the Winslow family commercials.
Stop.
Out. I'm gonna who is the person who used to go in, and then would be like out like
some fashion jagoff.
Yeah. Out. Reality shows. In. We need to create more dance shows. Like we got to bring back an American Bandstand. We got to bring back Soul Train. We need to bring those things back. Like
that's what TikTok is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not going to pay for the. But listen, you can pine for Dance Party USA as much as the next guy. Who doesn't love it?
I want the original cast too. I want to see what they look like at like 50, 60 years old. I want them dancing.
Yeah. This is the cold hard truth. Before like the early 90s, you could fucking dance all over like music licensing like crazy. Then they started to make these laws where the artist wanted to get paid for this stuff, or the record label wanted to make sure that they got their cut, and everybody was like, licensed music, boo. So under the rare circumstances that it's tied to a series, and the series pays or the network pays a shit ton of money to use that licensed music, and it's built into their budget.
You know what?
That's why you're never going to see a Dance Party USA or Soul Train or American Bandstand. Those taste making shows are out the window.
Every week you bring in DJ so-and-so, and he's the musical whatever for the hour, but you have a recurring cast of characters like Dance Party USA, where like, and then you got to find yourself a really good don't bring fucking Carson Daly.
No, because that's what they would do. Somebody that's cool and hip. Nobody's cool and hip. Well, the people that are cool and hip are doing this on YouTube and Twitch and all these other these digital platforms now. Like I said, what you're looking for is actually TikTok.
Shit on my ideas. I bet you we get ratings.
No, it wouldn't.
And finally,
no, it wouldn't.
And finally, The Simpsons need to end.
Oh.
As does Grey's Anatomy.
That's on its 7,000th season, right?
But Always Sunny in Philadelphia needs to stay alive.
Well,
that needs to keep going.
See, that's a type of show where I wish that they would do 20 episodes a season like they did their first couple years.
Why isn't it Comedy Central like running that like 24 hours a day?
Because they lost the rights to it. That's the problem, is that they were like, oh, it's just cheaper to buy like fucking The Office, or we have South Park in the bin, or Family Guy. Like, yeah, I know. It's a mind bender. That's your rapid fires.
Yeah. I'll leave my unless you got rapid fires.
I'll give you a couple rapid fires.
Then I'll do my top 10.
HBO makes the best series, best original series. I don't know why they rely on Game of Thrones spinoffs. A series finale. Listen, all of you people who will go online the day after a series finale comes along and it sucks, and you're like, how could they do this to my characters? Da, 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 da. A series finale will never live up to expectations unless they want to surprise you. And because people are such super fans of these things, they come up with these scenes to end their series well in advance. And if you don't like it, ugats. They got you talking and you're watching it anyway. So why make it good? Just be the end like it is. Superhero and Star Wars based series are all good for one season, and then they all fall off the table. That's a cold hard fact. I know you're a Star Wars guy, and you probably watch a few of these Marvel series that are on Netflix, but they're only good for one season, and then they crater.
I'll have a even more unpopular opinion. I don't think there's been a good Marvel TV episode.
And listen to the Marvel people who were like, "Oh, Daredevil was great, and She-Hulk was really cool, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was good." Yeah, the first season of these things are cool and new, and they look great. And then they're like, oh, we have a hit? Let's have cameos for all these stupid characters in half-right episodes. We need network game shows back in a big way. We don't need celebrity hosts for them. Come up with a fucking game show host, or a mid-level or low-level stand-up comedian.
They do this. It's called the Game Show Network.
But the Game Show Network has Alfonso Ribeiro is a game show host, or Urkel.
It's called TikTok. Oh.
Leah Remini's hosting a game show. These are D-list celebrities, but give me somebody who I don't know him from anything. He's a weatherman in Albuquerque, or this is a stand-up comedian who hasn't had a network thing yet, and he's the host of the new Tic Tac Toe, not Snoop Dogg or
Ryan Seacrest needs more work. He'll host more game shows.
Does Michael Strahan have to host Pyramid? Absolutely not. I love Elizabeth Banks. Does she have to do Pressure Luck? Joel McHale doesn't have to do Card Sharks or whatever he was doing. Like, you can find other people that aren't, if it's a good enough concept or you're rebirthing an old game show, you can find somebody who does not have the appeal of a top level celebrity that can host this fucking thing. And we can finally go back to saying, that's a good, I know him because he's the game show host. Miss that. And then my final quick point, and then we'll get to a couple other breakouts. All those Paramount Plus outdoor shows, they're all literally the same thing, and they're all boring. Yellowstone, Landman, 1883, Dutton Ranch. I don't care about your distressed farm or about the oil business, like, and how the West is being won and all of this sort of like rural soap operas, for the most part, it's not interesting to me. I'm not watching many of them. I saw an episode or two of Tulsa King. I thought that was interesting because they were actually kind of funny, but it's like the same guy. It's like Shonda Rhimes. Like, it's the same guy that does all of these shows. And it's like, oh, wait, the series opens on the landscape of a little like ranch town in North Dakota. Oh, tell me more. No, you're boring me already. Get it out of my face.
You just shit all over Kevin Costner.
Michelle Pfeiffer's in those things too. Billy Bob Thornton. Like, just take your punishment. You're not entertaining me. And I'm not sitting there and watching your shows. So, what else you got before we start to wrap this one up?
I have my top 10 favorite TV shows.
All right. Fire away. Let's start. Oh, real quick before you do that. Running Point, that's on Netflix. That's my favorite hate watch sitcom. I hate that show so much, but I watched every fucking episode. I don't know why, because they hooked me in because I was like, I want to see just how bad the writing is to the next episode, or how cliched this situation is, or how like fucking like awful acting and it's just a badass concept, terrible concept. But I watched every episode. I'm an idiot in that way. Continue.
I feel I have to hate watch the first 15, 20 minutes of Jimmy Fallon every night. So,
yeah.
Just so I could sit there and be like, this is not funny. The writer should be fired.
Running Point.
Horrible.
To elaborate on my point, there was one episode of Running Point this year. Kate Hudson is a female owner of what's supposed to be like a LA Lakers style National Basketball Association team. And there's a dispute with the cheerleading staff who wants to get paid more, and they have terrible conditions. So she's distracted with something else. She has to go negotiate with the cheerleaders. She has to go like do all this other stuff. Long story short, she settles the dispute, and then like 5 minutes later, you saw none of this through the whole episode, but 5 minutes later, she's doing a routine at a home game with the cheerleaders, who all of a sudden taught her how to do a choreographed dance. They were saying that she's a terrible owner on one side of this episode. Out of a 22-minute episode, 18 of it, they were like, you're a terrible owner and we don't want to deal. And then like the last 3 minutes, she's doing a choreographed dance thing with them. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? This is so stupid. But they wrote it so that she could wear a fucking hot cheerleader outfit and do a sexy dance with them. That might be why I continue to watch the show, because I kind of have a crush on Kate Hudson.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want to see that like 20 years ago? Like you want to see Almost Famous?
Absolutely. Right. She still has a great body. So, I'm not going to take that away from her, but it's a terrible show.
Basically, the writers of the Jimmy Fallon show took Showtime and made Turning Point.
Yeah, exactly.
we can't get the rights to the Lakers, but we're going to do a shit version of Jenny Buss owning the LA Lakers.
Yeah, that's you nailed it. Ken Marino was on this season too. God damn it, I love Ken Marino.
Why?
I love Ken Marino. It's such.
At any point did he have two basketballs in his hand? And say, I want to dunk my balls in it.
John Glazer's like a side character in it. There's funny people that are so incredibly like mired in fucking garbage stories that I hope they get 9 seasons of this show.
Is there a janitor and it's the guy that did Doug? And he's just being Doug.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Give me your 10 favorite shows.
All right. Starting with number 10, doing a countdown. Mm-hmm. Family Ties comes in at number 10.
Okay. All right. This is all time, you're saying?
All time.
Okay. All right.
Number 9, I put Broken Bad. Love that show.
Breaking Bad.
What did I say?
I never watched more than 3 episodes of that. You tried to get me to watch it, and I was like, I'm not falling for this. Sorry.
We don't have to agree on everything.
That's what I'm saying. This is where we line in the sand. This is Breaking Bad.
Number 8, I got MASH.
Oh, we're gonna disagree on that one. What a fucking pretentious. Are you a comedy? Are you not a comedy? Decide already, MASH.
Wow.
I never liked MASH.
Really?
Not a big fan.
Come on.
Not a big fan. And my dad was a huge MASH fan. Watched every episode. He could remember things from MASH, and it's like swing and a miss for me.
I put The Late Show with David Letterman because I was a little too young to watch a lot of the late night with David Letterman.
Yeah.
I did watch some episodes, but not consistently enough to say I'm not going to be a whatever and be like, oh, I love late night, 12:30 show. Oh yeah, I watched.
Yeah, you were.
I used to watch during the summertime.
11 years old, maybe. Yeah, right.
Number 6, I got Married with Children.
Okay, all right. That's become a little bit more of a sleeper these days. I think a lot of people were like, give Married with Children credit for being sort of like, obviously it's like an over the top like, kind of horny comedy, but there's some very funny episodes and some like really good satire in there.
It was like if the guys that wrote like the Porky's movies and stuff like that, the 80s comic, did a TV series and they told them, well, you got to be clean.
Yeah, right.
Like you can push the envelope a little bit, but like, okay, Al's going to always make fun of the neighbor.
Yeah.
Because she looks a little mannish. Like he's gonna rip into his kids. He's gonna make fun of all the fat ladies that come into the shoe store. And then in return, everyone's gonna shit on Al that he's in his 40s and he's a shoe salesman.
Yes. He gets it. He gets it from both ends.
Number 5, I have ER.
Okay, all right. I watched a little bit of it in its day.
I got number 4, Late Night with Conan O'Brien.
The greatest late night show of all time.
Number 3, I have Rescue Me.
Yeah, another one that I never really latched onto. Sorry, but from what I've seen, it's good, but it's not something that I'm up on. So
number 2, I have Saturday Night Live.
Okay, all right. Makes sense.
And my number 1 is Cheers.
Cheers. That's one of the best of all time. I'm going to hit you with this one. I'm going to give you my 5 best comedies that came out in the last 15 years.
Is Flight of the Conchords on it?
No, because that didn't come out in the last 15 years. That came out in the mid to late 2000s. In no particular order. Anybody that's listening to this that wants to like, and I get asked a lot, like, what shows should I watch? Like, you're pretty good, like, with like recommendations on shows. Here's a recommendation for 5 shows that you can find on streaming now, and you can thank me later that I turned you on to this. Community's kind of a no-brainer, right? Like, and I think a lot of people like gave up on Community, like, or they never really caught on to it when it was on NBC to begin with. It is worth revisiting. It's so sharp. I didn't like it originally when I saw it. I was like, this community college thing, it's like, some of these jokes are just like, they're too they're too meta. It's too this. It's weird. It's quirky. But if you really give it a chance, like it's a smart show, and it's brilliant. The Good Place. Kind of a high concept show in itself. Arguing between heaven and hell, which one is which, but it's another one it's from the people who did The Office and Parks and Recreation, so it's got the jokes within a joke, and it's a very well written and very well acted show. Detroiters, Tim Robinson and the black guy who I can't remember his name, Sam. But they're running an advertising agency. There's hijinks. It's got Tim Robinson energy. It's fucking hilarious. It's outstanding. Like in like the, in sort of like that great Comedy Central sitcom way. It was the best one that they did, and they only did 2 seasons. It's on Netflix. It's on Paramount Plus. You can check it out. It's pretty great. Kevin Can Go Fuck Himself is just an original thought. One half of it is this CBS sitcom where you have the doofy husband with the marginally more attractive wife, and they have dumb, goofy neighbors, and they sit on the couch and they make racial jokes and they make sexist jokes, and it's like just like you would see the Kevin James could be in this. When the husband is not in the room, it completely tilts to the wife's point of view, which is a darker, more sort of the dread of it, and it becomes like suspense drama in the idea that she wants to kill her husband because he's such a terrible person. He's so bad, and she's plotting to kill him. And then he re-enters the room, and then all of a sudden it's flipped back to the studio audience, the multi-camera comedy that it is. So like it's it's another one where you're kind of like, ooh, what side are we pulling on? But it makes for very compelling half-hour episodes. It's on Netflix. Check it out. 2 seasons, and they wrap that one up really tightly. So that's a great one. And the final one, I will say this until somebody actually starts watching. You're the Worst. It was on FX. Now it's like 10 years ago now that it started. It's a refreshing take on like the relationship comedy with a whole lot of like really, again, it's just sort of like edgy humor and you actually like really despicable characters. But not played for the hijinks of It's Always Sunny, played more for the bombacity and the pompousness that, people in their early 30s tend to have. So those are the 5 that I recommend to anybody. And again, your mileage may vary with some of these shows, but you can find them all, some element of them on streaming, and it's worth your time to check them out.
The Worst was pretty funny.
Yes.
If you like dark humor and if you could find the humor in some really like messed up or tense situations, if you're that type of person, I think you'll really enjoy that show.
Yeah, and it's well acted. That's another thing. It's like all these people work their ass off to put forth a very good and smart comedy that has through lines throughout the whole thing that are just like, and then they call back to certain things. It's got its fair, every episode's got its fair share of like, there's a crazy character that pops in here every once in a while, or a chaos character that pops in. But like, yeah, it's got the chops.
I wish more regular TV series or TV channels took some of the risks that like FX did over the years. Some of the, what was the one with the, where it was like the guy's conscience or whatever was like a person in a dog outfit.
Yes. What was that? Elijah Wood was in that one.
Yeah. Was it Happy? Something like
no
Happy Life or something. I caught a couple episodes of that, and I was like, this is weird, but this is very interesting, weird, and funny. Like but what happens in the shadows?
What we do in the shadows,
What we do in the shadows is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Even some of their dramas or whatever. Like, I wish Channel 7 or NBC, I wish would be a little bit more open to putting some of those types.
They should, because they could actually like win back some of the audience that they sort of squander. And I think they try. I just think that they don't know how to, because it's hard to dance around language. It's hard to, like, if it's on FX or if it's on just a streamer, then you certainly have a lot more leeway when it comes to, like, you got to show sex and you're the worst. You got to show, you got to have vulgarity in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia nowadays. And it's like, you're not going to get that. Like, you're not going to water it down and put a version of that on television just to say, hey, we might get a hit. Because as we're putting it over and saying, like, this is sort of like these shows have something that's sort of like darkish, there is still like a big swath of people who were like, I like Reba McEntire, or I like Tim Allen sitcoms, and let's have like, I'm just going to laugh because the studio audience is laughing. And like, that still plays to the middle of the country where it's like, fucking grow up already. Get sophisticated. Read a book.
Kat Dennings definitely went down a peg or two being in a Tim Allen series.
Well, she wasn't that great on that other bullshit show that she did, that Two Broke Girls.
Yeah,
that was a piece of garbage. And she wore the tight costume with the right. And she's also a waitress in like high heel boots working in a Manhattan restaurant. That makes a lot of sense. They wear fucking sneakers. They have specially designed shoes for women that work in those industries, not high heels and boots. You fucking set designers are just, we get it. We want to put them in a hot costume and show off their legs and shit. But like, the second, like, if somebody were to say, this is your outfit, like 90% of the girls would be like, you fuck yourself. I'm wearing sneakers. I'm wearing orthopedics.
You're ruining it. You're ruining the image.
Yeah, you ruin it. All the bad.
You ruin it.
Also, the bad jokes ruin that one too.
Oh, I never really had to listen to it.
Yeah. So. Yeah. All right. Anything else to wrap us up here? We still love television. Don't get us wrong.
We just have really high standards.
We have high standards. We just gave you 15 different television shows to go and watch. Like, we know, we're ball knowers when it comes to good TV.
We just want them to do better.
HBO's got it right. Although I do think the last season of Euphoria, DTF St. Louis was great. The Chair Company was surprisingly great. They kind of hit it out of the park with some of the series.
I know this isn't your type of series, but The Pit is a very good TV show.
Okay, sure, yeah. It's a stressful hospital situation. Absolutely, yeah. There's good TV out there.
If ER was allowed to have cursing in it, that's
right.
Was a little bit more realistic. That's what The Pit is.
Absolutely. So stop watching Friends marathons. And jump on the television shows that we told you to give a chance to. So I think that wraps us up.
Next episode, I will have a recap of. I will be sitting very close, if not with the Norwegians, very close to them. So I will have a full report on how tired my arms are from rowing for 90 minutes.
Well, pace yourself. I
gotta stay with the rest of them. You can't be the one lagging behind.
You can't be the one that's holding the boat back.
Blues. I know how rowing works.
Yes. All right. That's tremendous. All right. Well, that's our show for the Captain Michael Corby. This has been Mike Madden. We're living the dream, just one nightmare at a time. Have a good night.
Bye, Mike.